Hey guys, it's been a while. I've taken a break recently, but now I am back, and there is probably no better way for me to come back than with what made me popular in the first place, namely theory crafting new characters. The one I'll be talking about today is Lyney, the first Fontaine 5-star that we release in the game. Lyney is a Pyro bow main carry user that focuses on charge attack damage, and he's unique in that he makes his own element his whole team identity. In fact, before going in detail about what he does to deal damage, let me talk about a passive of his that basically defines his playstyle. Lyney will deal increased damage to opponents who have Pyro applied on them, and this damage buff increases depending on how many Pyro teammates he has on the team, up to a ridiculous 100% bonus when he has 2 Pyro teammates. Basically, this indicates that a mono-Pyro team structure, or at least a team without elemental reactions that disrupt Pyro application on enemies like Vaporize or Melt, is what suits him best. This is interesting because it puts him in an entirely different context compared to things like Hu Tao Vape teams, as monopyro teams generally have their own set of strengths that make them quite viable. The most popular monopyro team currently is Klee Monopyro, a composition that takes advantage of Klee, Kazuha, Shenling AoE dominance, while Bennett is in the background for buff and heals. This composition is used with great results even at speedrun level, and it has such a great structure that Lyney fitting in such a team makes him promising, at least conceptually. There are, however, a few things that might be worrisome, which I'll address after the following kit breakdown. As I said earlier, Lyney is a charge attack based character, and as such he has his own unique charge attack mechanics, like Ganyu and Tignari. In fact, he has a level 2 charge that generates a couple of positive effects for him. Primarily, it does more damage, it allows him to build some special stacks, and it creates an object on field that taunts the enemy for 4 seconds. This object works like Ganyu's elemental skill, so it's something that will attract enemies and then will hurt one of them when it gets destroyed. The difference between Lyney and Ganyu is that since Lyney can create these objects through charge attacks, they should be a bit more reliable at taunting enemies for the full rotation than Ganyu's elemental skill is, although throughout the history of the game, taunt mechanics have often proven to be quite ineffective. Last but not least, the charge attacks generate hits every 6 seconds that have a pneuma effect. This is a new mechanic that is coming out with Fontaine, and I don't want to go in detail about it yet because not much is known currently, although it doesn't seem like it's particularly impactful as of right now. So, Lyney can build up stacks with his charge attacks, up to 5. These stacks come at the expense of 20% HP each, and they will stop generating once Lyney goes under 60% HP, meaning that pairing him with a healer is basically required. Thankfully, these stacks are also quite rewarding, as he can release them with his elemental skill, which does additional damage and makes Lyney recover HP and energy based on how many stacks Lyney had beforehand. Furthermore, this skill will make the taunt object I mentioned before explode instantly, making the explosion count as charge attack damage, something that benefits a number of weapons and artifacts. His elemental burst is rather straightforward. During its duration of 3 seconds, Lyney will transform into something different and deal damage to the opponents he gets close to. After the burst ends, it will deal AoE damage and create a taunt object while simultaneously giving Lyney a stack. The burst can also be cancelled by using Lyney's elemental skill, meaning it's a good rotation opener since it's a lot of front-loaded damage and also gives Lyney quite the head start. All in all, Lyney is a character whose damage is entirely tied to him acting on field, but after I calculated him a bit, I must say that his numbers don't make him look like a typical hypercarry. As a matter of fact, based on what I got so far, on monopyro teams he's more in the Klee range of damage. He looks a bit better in single target output and worse in AoE output. Overall, his numbers look more than fine to me at the moment, considering he can go on a team with really strong off-field damage. However, there is something that troubles me about him still. Since he is a bow charge attack damage dealer that is presumably going to take a few seconds to charge his attacks each time, he suffers more from stagger than a character like Klee, since the disruption of even just 2 of his hits can cause a dramatic drop of his rotation damage. Also because his charge attacks load up stacks and explosive taunt objects that all contribute to his damage. It's true that taunts should make him more consistent in this regard, but it's also true that taunts outside of Tighnari have generally not been that effective, and they are completely ineffective against boss enemies in particular. As a result, it might be reasonable to try something else for him, like replacing one of the members on the team with a defensive unit that provides interruption resistance, like taking out Xianling for Zhongli or Deya. Unfortunately, the whole supporting cast on Monopyro teams is quite essential for its overall functioning, so any swap has caused a big damage loss in my early calculations. It's possible that Lyney can fit well on trickier teams as well, like burning teams since they're able to maintain Pyro aura pretty consistently, and reverse melt teams that have a dominant Pyro aura presence. But so far, Monopyro has seemed the only great team damage-wise for him, although these are just the results of preliminary calculations that are subjected to change. I'm done for today. I already have some weapon and artifact calculations ready, but I prefer to wait a few days to show them so I can refine the exact numbers better and provide you all with more accurate information. This was just a quick explanation of Lyney's kit from me, meant to explain to you all how he functions and what his optimal teams are looking to be. Stay tuned, as there is more to come.